welcome to this Tuesday, Dr. Jason Dean, bravetv, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And I feel like I'm reporting on like 9/11 day. This is so very odd. And this is what, 20 plus years since then, when I was like a teenager to like now. I'm not like down like I was 9/11, but I'm also not up, because it feels like 9/11. It feels like 2020, like kind of not all wrapped. Does that make any sense to you?
Yep. It's lots of unsettling things happening.
It's I so I do something I'm not supposed to do, which is on a daily basis. But I wake up and I start to go into the kitchen and like do some coffee stuff. But I pop up my phone because I'm not really a newspaper reader, and I don't want to like know what the news is doing, but I actually just follow the alternative news, right? Like I want to know what the hell is going on, or most people say, "Oh, don't start your day like that." Like, welcome to the world. Our world's a shit show, right? And two things happened. Chris. I woke up and I try to go to bed at a decent time. So I went to bed because the main event on Raw last night was very boring. And so I was like, yeah, nothing else is going to happen. I'll go to bed. Like, I'll watch what happens in the morning. I wake up and I realize that, like, Cody's bleeding out of his head from what angle they're doing. But then right after that, I see this bridge going down. Now, I didn't go into panic mode, but my dad's side of my family and part of my wife's side of my family is all out of Baltimore area. They don't live in the city, thank God. So that obviously caught my attention, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then we started going into it. I'm like, oh my God, like this is no joke. But the crazy part was the world wasn't even awake yet.
Right.
And we live in this strange paradigm now, Chris, where, and I was just telling my my media public relations friend who's been in media, like old school media and now new school media for, I don't know, 20 plus years. And I said to her, I go, not only is the mainstream media dying, but like even the alternative media can't keep up with how fast like X is going. And really X is kind of the really platform that I'm on now. And you're the same, right? The rest of them just kind of suck and they don't give you stuff as fast, right?
I mean, I quit Facebook and Instagram from a personal perspective,
right?
7-8 years ago. And even the survival dispatch accounts, I got locked out. Right. I don't know, a year ago for some reason. I'm not saying it wasn't like I was targeted. It was some security thing that got tripped. My guys have access to our Instagram, Facebook. I don't, and I don't care. It's a dead platform.
Right.
Dead platform.
I told her, I said, I go, mainstream media we already know is dead. Their numbers are plummeting. They'll literally be knocked out of existence. I said, but here's the other thing. I do some interviews for some of the alternative medias like Emerald Robinson off and on, and a couple other ones who are great people, but they can't keep up with this either, because by 6:15, 6:30, I'm already looking at X posts coming out. By 7, 8 o'clock this morning, before I even head into the office, they're already uncovering cargo ship lines, who owns the lines, what the line of the traffic was, how it came out of the port. Like, the media they're essentially useless at this point. Like, it's literally in people's hands. We can study, and by the time it's noon now, I mean, you saw some of the posts and some of the stuff I sent over. We were talking back and forth. The media, and I did not look at the media, but like I think CNN and Fox, it's the same part. Like, how are people gonna wake up to see like this whole mess? Because are people still watching Fox and CNN out there?
Apparently so.
God.
I mean, Elon Musk, love him or hate him, and I don't agree with everything he's done, but I will give him credit for putting his money where his mouth is and restoring free speech for the most part on X. And, he's been targeted as a result of that. So there's a whole action underway that is holding up around $6-7 billion of his compensation from Tesla.
Yep.
The Europeans are trying to rake him over the coals. Like, he's paying a heavy price for restoring freedom of speech. And now we even have Supreme Court judges like the DEI hire, Ketanji Brown, saying that the First Amendment really hinders the government's ability to, undertake censorship and control narratives. But uh, even though I'd sworn off social media, I started watching X after Elon took it over,
Hmm.
and that's the only social media that I look at on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
I same
It
here.
happens on X faster than anywhere else. And it's funny that you mentioned the lag. So you've got your mainstream media, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, whatever. Then you've got your next tier of fairly large alternative news organizations like Breitbart,
Sure.
and even Breitbart can't keep up. It's the same thing as what you're saying. Like it takes many hours after something's happened on X for it to show up on Breitbart and then to show up on Fox News and MSNBC. And they're dinosaurs, man.
No, they truly are. And I have so many damn bookmarks in X this morning. It's like it's kind of unbelievable. But let me go to one because this is something that I wanted to chat with you about. Nicolette's going to come on in a little at 12:30 because she's already like researching the lines, who's in charge of them, the Chinese people behind them, and not just because it's just Chinese. It's far more than
Right.
that. But people who own the actual lines. But this one, if people aren't aware of this, they better wake up fast. This is an $81 billion trade route right here.
Right.
From a survival standpoint, I'm assuming that this popped into your head right away of economy, supply chains, food, you name it, because you always talk about it.
Yeah. So there's reportedly 40 ships that are trapped inside the harbor now,
Are there really?
and that's the last number I saw, maybe 10 minutes ago or so. So those ships will not be able to leave with their containers, and obviously no new ships are getting in here. It'll probably be a boon, to other places. Charleston immediately comes to mind, but yeah, absolutely. There are already people, speculating on X that this is going to cause another jump in inflation.
Yep.
More reduced supply without reducing the demand. It's simple economics. Prices go up even further. So it's definitely going to hurt. I can't say from what I've read so far whether or not this was a purposeful act or not.
Right.
If you watch some of the videos, you can see the ship lose power and then regain power just before it crashed.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some plausibility to, the story that they lost power. They were, basically set adrift. And when they regained power, it was too late to avoid hitting, that pillar. I don't know. But even if this is not a purposeful act, seems to me that it would probably give some of the bad guys some pretty good ideas on how to really mess up the supply chain by perpetuating something like this. It doesn't have to be with a ship, right? Just taking down bridges that are at busy ports and making them no longer functional could, have a huge impact on the supply chain.
Yeah. So I'm going to be very upfront with everybody. I put out posts this morning. I've asked questions on trafficking. I've asked questions on supply chain and economics and everything. So I'm not saying it's one or the other. I have not. I've tried not to accuse of, the captain doing this intentionally or it being cyber attack because we don't know enough yet. But I can say this is just a video that's going out that like shows the actual route. So when it comes out. And again, I don't know how to captain a ship. I probably know some people who know how to captain ships, but especially at the cargo level, I don't know.
So
But
keep in mind, just one thing to keep in
yeah,
mind, a lot of times the pilot is not somebody who works on that ship, and it's a harbor pilot who's put on the boat to navigate in and out of the harbor, and then they get off the vehicle once it's cleared the port. So I haven't seen any clear indication as to whether or not it was a harbor pilot or a full-time pilot who drives the ship on a regular basis.
yeah, and I mean, this is just the latest coming out. Obviously, one of the things Michael Yon, right? You told me that name
Yep.
before.
Yep.
So he put something out earlier, and I have so many bookmarks at this point now. I can't even find the ones I want. But he showed I think different speeds of it coming out, that same map, and I respect his information. So I immediately messaged him back. I don't know if I got anything back yet because it's all blowing up. But I just said, like, do we have also maps of previous boats coming out of that same spot, and what track did they take? Because I mean, it looks like this thing veered right. Obviously, we don't know how it veered right, but what is the typical track? Because then you got the investigation says go to that spot. What the hell happened? What was going on communication wise? You know, there's lots of questions, obviously, that we. But is it just me, Chris? I'm just a natural skeptic, so I immediately go to this is bullshit. And I'm not saying I know what the bullshit is, but just like, all right, like what has happened? This like out of thin air? Come on, like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical by nature as well, but I also, I'm pretty consistent doing my due diligence, and
Sure.
I can't say that I have a definitive opinion on this as of yet. It's entirely plausible that this was an accident caused by loss of power to the engine,
Yep.
and that it was set adrift. Is it something more bad, for lack of a better term than that?
Right.
I don't know. I can't say just yet, but the truth will come out. It always
Oh yeah.
does.
Oh yeah,
So,
and it'll probably be a lot of this will be exposed not by the mainstream media. The
correct.
mainstream media will probably go into defense mode because people will actually start exposing the real stuff. You'll start having cargo container information probably by today or tomorrow. What I did notice, I was talking to Nicolette on the way home, and I don't know if you've heard anything, but not that I put any faith into this or even believe that they're necessarily running the country. We are at 12:15 p.m. approximately. What do we could be upwards of 12 hours since this happened, but probably like 10 hours roughly based on, I don't know what time it happened. I don't think we've heard anything from Buttigieg or Biden, have we?
No. There's I scanned everything for the current headlines before we jumped on here. Absolutely.
That was my
nothing.
first question. Where was Buttigieg? Where is Biden? Would they have not been him in front of a camera by at least 9 o'clock this morning?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that
If this was a legitimate government, I'm asking. Like,
right. Yeah. Well, he's another one of your DEI hires, right?
Right.
Because he's gay, he got given the position. I used to call, DEI, I used to refer to it as dumb, evil, and incompetent. But somebody came up with a better definition a few days ago that I'm going to use instead. And it stands for didn't earn it.
it's true, man. It's true. So I believe, just like you probably believe, especially also being a business owner and a family member and a dad and everything else, communication is really important. And the CEO or the person managing or leading should always be in communication. None of us are perfect at it, but whether it's email communication, phone call, or public speaking, even if you don't know what the hell is going on, the job of a president or secretary of transportation or whatever they are is to be in front of a microphone by no later than 9 a.m. because the world's already blowing up, the internet's blowing up, and say, we don't fully know what's happening, but we are already on the case. Like at least a public address to say, we are studying immediately, everyone's on the clock. Like just saying we don't know, but we're looking is communication.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a fish rots from the head down. And we
Right.
have this currently installed administration that is completely, not only are they illegitimate, they're incompetent. That's the same with Obama's first two tenures. But I would argue that if Trump was in office, he would have been making social media posts shortly
Oh,
after this happened. The man doesn't sleep. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't sleep.
I do know firsthand. He only sleeps, not firsthand from him, but let's say secondhand from a person who's with him most all the time. He's under 6 hours a night, and he just has this natural energy. He just goes
That's amazing.
productive,
But
man. I mean, you've been that way too. Not that you do it all the time. When you're like super productive and on purpose, man, sometimes you don't need sleep.
no, but it does eventually catch up
It does.
with me at least at some point. My ability to recover takes a lot longer than it did years ago. But I get the gist of what you're saying for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what determination is made from this, it's just another example of the installed administration being completely and utterly incompetent. They don't communicate, and even when they do communicate, it's a bunch of baloney. So
No, 100%. So what, I mean, what are your thoughts? What should people know about this from a standpoint of survival? I mean, my first thoughts are supply chains, food. Like, if anyone's been waiting to this point, better stop waiting, because this is the stuff that radically transforms. We get our food and everything else from usually other places, and out of like this people don't realize our supply chains, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we're back to basics again: food, water, and shelter. Any disposable income that you have that you can invest in those things is paramount. And if you haven't started to do it, start doing it today. The other part would be protecting yourself. So making sure that you have, plenty of ammo, you have functional firearms that you're familiar with, and even better, take some scenario based training. There's some value to going to the range with a professional and learning how to draw and shoot from low ready and double tapping and all those good things, which are not easy to do, especially if you don't practice them.
Right.
But we've been on a pretty big kick as far as scenario based training is concerned, and we feel that it's even more important than ever before because of some recent development. So the DOJ has tremendously overstepped their bounds by creating this red flag national center. And so if somebody sees you on here and decides to call the authorities and said, I saw Dr. Jason Dean and he's unhinged, and the next thing you know is they show up at your door and they confiscate your guns with no due process. And this is how they're going to take guns away from good people. Very secretly, the Biden admin has been caught again putting veterans on the NICS database, so the 4473 form that you fill out when you buy a gun, as, do not buy because they're, again, unstable, mental cases, whatever the case may be. But how does this relate to everything we're discussing right now? Here's how it relates. We just had a federal court judge rule that illegal aliens have the right to purchase and carry guns. So, this corrupt garbage administration is not only trying to take guns away from, decent law-abiding people, they're now putting guns in the hands of all these illegals. And I'll come back to X here. How long does it take you in the morning to scan through X to see half a dozen videos of people being assaulted by packs of thugs?
No time.
Correct. So, stitching all of this together is make sure you're up to date on your preps as best as you possibly can. Get some training. People do not rise to the occasion. They fall to their level of training. So, for example, we went through some amazing scenario-based training at WOFT on the weekend, WOFT.com, where our families train. Absolutely incredible stuff. And ironically, we have a big thing when it comes to gas stations.
Yeah.
They did a whole morning of scenario-based training at gas stations and how something as simple as a flashlight can be used to disrupt somebody's OODA loop and provide the opportunity for you to escape. Highly encourage people, if you can't afford to go to WAF, there are other options, but get the scenario-based training. This is not about taking training like military law enforcement. It's about recognizing dangers and what you can do. I learned something on the weekend that you probably are aware of, but I sure wasn't. Wild animals will not attack other animals or humans as long as there's eye contact being maintained. There's always outliers, exceptions, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, they actually get afraid. They actually will run away. Technically, usually.
So when tigers, bend down to take a drink of water, they flip their ears 180 degrees, and the back of their ears have markings that look just like eyes. And so it's a lot of interesting stuff we learned from the guys at WAFT. And again, if you're maintaining eye contact and you're watching people's hands and waist, those are your indicators. If they're going to pull a weapon, it's going to be from their waist. If they're going to pull a gun, it's going to be from their waist. If they're going to take a swing at you, obviously it's going to be their hands. So being able to pay attention to that sort of stuff, and even something as simple as taking a flashlight and shining it at the ground is enough to interrupt the bad guy's OODA loop. I'll give you a great comparison. And I know we're kind of getting a little bit off topic, but it's not. This is all about urban survival. Tony Blauer, preeminent world expert on sudden violence in LA, gets rear-ended. The guy who rear ends him pushes him into the car in front. Three guys get out of the car in front. The driver looks at his bumper, which is smashed up now, looks at Tony and says, I'm going to kick your effing ass. And as the guy's coming at Tony, and there's two other guys on the other side coming at him now as well, he says to them, whoa, 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 time out. There's three reasons I can't fight you. He interrupted the guy's OODA loops. He stopped to listen to what the three reasons were, and Tony sucker punched him and knocked him out cold, and the other two guys ran away. So
I love that he stopped to listen to it. That's like, dude, that's like the Facebook feed, the Facebook ad. It's like, there's 3 secrets to blah, blah, blah. And the person goes, ooh, I have to watch it. Like, it's the hook.
Yeah. Observe, orient, decide, act. We go through this process, thousands of times per day. And again, like I said, so taking a flashlight, not even shining it in their face, but shining it on the ground in front is enough to interrupt somebody's OODA loop and potentially buy you time, to escape to safety. I got to tell you this one just because it was a good indicator. There was a family there, father, mother, mid-20s son, 18-year-old girl. The 18-year-old girl was the first one to go. She had nobody else's examples. She kicked butt. We watched a video when we were on the topic of animals, okay? Zebra comes across the watering hole, puts its first foot on land, and boom, a bunch of lions come out of the lion grass, the tall grass. What's the zebra do? Hightails it back to the other shore that it just came from. So what's the lesson? If you can't get into your car because there's bad guys in your way, go back in the store. Go retreat to safety, okay? So this girl, she went through dozens of scenarios. Everybody in the class did, right? At one point, there's somebody coming from behind her car and in front of her car, and she flashes the flashlight, and they keep on coming, and she's telling them to stay away. She just turned around, ran back in the store. She got a pass, okay? The father went later on, and things were amped up a little bit more, and he ended up in a similar situation. And what did he do? He tried to charge a guy who had a device from Guard Dog Security. Same concept as this, except for it was shaped like a knife.
Mm-hmm.
And the bad guy lit it up like that and zapped them. And in real life, he probably would have died if he had been stabbed a couple times, right? He had the same opportunity to run back to safety, but he didn't do it. So if you've never practiced this stuff, you've never been immersed in a scenario, there's no way you're going to think your way through it. Again, human beings don't rise to the occasion. They follow their level of training.
Right.
And here's another great example. How many videos have you watched of the terrorist attack in Moscow, observing people just meandering around? All kinds of them, right?
When that broke, and I didn't watch a ton of it, but there's a couple of them I watched all the way through. And I was looking and I'm going, and there's people who aren't even close to it. And I'm like, what are they hanging around for? You hear a gun, get the F out. Like, what are you hanging out for?
So it's easy to be an armchair quarterback, right? I'm not saying otherwise. But I have watched a ton of those videos because providing guidance on active killer situations is a thing with us, okay? Something we like to offer. So, number one, all kinds of people hid in restrooms, offices, and behind seating, okay? We know what happened at Pulse. You're just essentially, this advice of, run and hide is a disaster. You're a fish in a barrel and you're going to get killed. That's not viable, number one. Number two, they tripped the door security systems when they came in and all the doors were locked, but the entire front elevation of the building's glass. Are you telling me that not a single person had a knife with a glass breaker or the mental acuity to pick up a chair and smash one of the windows out? Instead of doing that, they just sat there, as targets, number one. Number two, there were people on the floor, like you mentioned. So Jeff Cooper stuff, right? So he's the one who came up, Colonel Jeff Cooper, with the combat mindset, which has now been, basically co-opted by the survival community. When you're at home and you're relaxing, you're in condition white. Okay.
Yep.
You're not really, stressed or paying attention to everything that's going on around you because you're in a safe environment, right? Sure. So when you go out in public, you should automatically be in condition yellow. It doesn't mean being scared. It means paying attention and ready to react if something arises. Condition red is the next one that Colonel Jeff Cooper came up with, and that means imminent danger. Like there's something really bad is fixing to happen, okay? Years later, somebody else came up and tacked condition black on the end. And condition black is what happens to most people. When confronted with this stuff, they completely lock up. They completely freeze. They have no training. They don't have the ability to, make good decisions and react. But when I watched the stuff in Russia, I thought to myself, there needs to be an additional level put in here called condition gray. And that's what I would say those people in Moscow were doing. They were wandering around aimlessly, not even remotely aware of the danger that faced them, even though they could hear it from an auditory perspective. Many of them were walking towards the shooters, for crying out loud. So I'm now coining the term condition gray, which means you've basically been zombified. So you're not frozen like condition black. You're certainly not defending yourself like condition red, but you just become a zombie. And the only way to overcome this stuff is to do scenario-based training. So there's a big distinction between training, with your guns versus scenario-based training. There were no guns used in the morning session of the scenario-based training. Now, in the afternoon, they brought out some UTM rounds, which sound like a regular shot. They hurt like a son of a gun. They leave a mark on purpose, but it takes that stress inoculation to a whole new level. If you haven't had this kind of training, the chances that you're going to react in a favorable way are really not good. And you can do it. You can watch videos and do it with your family. It's not like you even have to pay somebody to do it. Anyway.
Good advice. Good advice. I appreciate all of it. Hang in there, and I'll be texting you throughout the day. How about that?
I will be texting you some updates.
Okay, cool.
I'm just going to say one quick thing.
Yeah.
That we received intel last night from a very high level, from somebody who was actually on Trump Force One at the time that we received this intel. And that intel was, number one, it confirmed what we already knew from our sources, that the attack on AT&T was just that. It was a Chinese cyber attack, okay? But it was a dry run. And our source is saying that in the next 5 to 6 days, our communication networks and our power grids are going to be attacked by a cooperative effort between the Chinese, North Koreans, and Mexican cartels. Why are the Mexican cartels in there? Well, you shoot up, 9 substations in the country, you can take down all 3 grids. So we're just putting this out there, that this story of an eclipse causing communication disruptions, geomagnetic storms. You know what? We had 2 geomagnetic storms yesterday. They were, saying Chicken Little, end of the world. They were G3 and G4. They didn't do shit to our comms at all, okay? However, people need to be aware over the next 5 or 6 days, if the comms go out, cell phone network, internet, things like that, this is a targeted attack, and it's likely that the power grid will follow shortly thereafter. The numbers I was given was you're looking at 2 to 4 weeks of downtime for the power grid in particular. Comms may come up a little bit sooner, but as soon as comms come back up again, keeping in mind that many people will have had no food, that you can't fight when you're hungry, that the terrorist attacks will potentially begin at that point in time. But everybody needs to pay attention. If your comms go down in the next 5 to 6 days, it's highly likely that we are under attack. And you need to get to your rendezvous point or get home with your family as fast as possible. We would not say this if we didn't have this intel from the very highest levels. So
stay aware, everybody. Go check out survivaldispatch.com. Chris, appreciate you as always.
Likewise.
Be safe. I know you will be. Take care, brother.
Right. Likewise.
Chris Heaven, survivaldispatch.com. He texted me last night, notification of those communications he received yesterday. Last night. It was actually last night. Then went to bed and then woke up this morning. Again, it was early this morning, and it was almost like I woke up on purpose, which I do set an alarm, but I a lot of times wake up before the alarm anyway. And after he had texted me this morning, is, obviously the bridge stuff, I have a ridiculous amount of bookmarks on X right now. Nicolette is coming on because it's easier to sometimes cover this somebody else. And she's already been studying behind the scenes on this. I have not had as much time this morning, but still working on it. To uncover what the hell is actually going. I have so many bookmarks. This might sound a little weird. I partially love these news days because it keeps everyone super busy and it's something to search for. And I like the puzzles because obviously I think it's part of, being in a patriotic American and a doctor is puzzles, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But at the same time, I don't like this happening because this is causing major distress. But, so I told Nicolette to wake the hell up this morning along with all the other mods. I'm like, let's go. Where is everybody? The world is burning. Where are you guys? The first thing I thought of, not going to lie, was, let's see. I thought of, holy shit. They just took a bridge, a bridge just got taken out with legitimate people on that bridge. That's insane. And then I saw the size of the ship and I was like, false flag. And then I thought cargo and trafficking. Those are the first things that pop in my mind. You? I can't hear a word you're saying. You're all mute. Why do you put the mute on?
I don't mean to. If I was adjusting my mic, it's like a touch button. Anyway. I don't know. Everything that you just said is correct, but for those reasons, yes, I've been looking into stuff, but I'm very intuitive, and I'm sitting here where I'm like, this isn't it.
So okay, good. You said that. You said it this morning to me. So tell everybody. You're gonna say this anyway, but tell everybody intuitively, because let's go through the BS afterwards, if we need to, because it's all loud, it's all noise right now. There's a ton of noise.
Exactly.
Intuitively, because Nicolette is right on a lot of stuff. My wife is right on a lot of stuff. Women operate differently. So Nicolette, take us through what you kind of know what's happening.
Well, we saw the bridge, and I said, my first thought is, okay, this clearly could have been an accident. While I do think that there's nefarious things happening now that I know that it basically turned around and made that right turn almost directly into it, and then it lost power. However, I was like, my first initial reaction is to, who's the owner of this boat? Who owns it? What's going on? Is it something similar to the airlines? Is it like Boeing, where they had total wokeism and hiring practices? And that's not the case. So when I looked it up, it's the Dolly ship from Singapore, owned by Grace Ocean Private Limited. And
keep going. I'm going to see if I can't bring some of the stuff up that you showed, that you sent.
Okay, so when I looked that up, the Grace Ocean, because when stuff with ship happens, I very much think Terramar project and stuff like that. So
there's the ship itself.
Yeah, that's the ship itself. So my first initial thought is, because obviously a lot of the trafficking stuff is coming out. The Hollywood rings are coming out, which we can get to. However, that was my first thought. So I'm like, okay, who owns this? So it's owned by Hong Kong. So this person is the vessel operations for dry bulk. I have no clue how to pronounce her name. Don't ask me to. Fu Fai Thu.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway.
Maybe.
Odds are she's probably going to be fired. I don't know. But at the end of the day.
You think?
This is one of them. So she's vessel operations. And I wanted to see, like I said, I was looking to see if it was just a matter of, hey, is it you guys know that I use the term controlled demolition often, everything woke turns to shit. Well, that might not be the case. So we have Flynn this morning literally saying this is the black swan, which those are big words.
Those are very big words. Now, I think what he's talking about is shipping lines, economy, food, products. That's what I was assuming he was saying, but it could be deeper.
Right. So he said that, and I was like, okay. So I'm on her LinkedIn page, and now nothing has been posted recently. However, everything that she shared on LinkedIn, which for people who aren't familiar with LinkedIn, there's basically it's like a social media platform when it comes to like sharing information. Everything is about Myanmar. And so when I got into that, I don't know what the hell
my LinkedIn is. Sorry. I'm like,
no,
I should log in. I don't know what my link.
I was gonna say I shared that link, but anyway, everything was about Myanmar.
Ooh, I did.
So then I also thought about. I specifically remember now. I don't remember if this was in person, in front of us, or if it was on camera. But I do remember Flynn saying that we needed some kind of Myanmar thing to happen here.
Myanmar is where they
the military
figured out that the election was fraud, and they literally went in and they put the freaking government in jail and ran new elections.
Correct.
Her, by the way, she has her profile is gone.
The profile that I shared earlier?
Hold on. Oh, I wrote poo, not foo. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no, it's so I wrote poo as in poop. Sorry.
All right.
It's here. Keep going. There is her actual LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, if you go back to like the posts and stuff, you'll see that everything that she posts is about Myanmar. Now, is it connected? I don't know. These are just the intuitively ways that I research, because I'm not going to watch the video 100 times and just speculate on what happened. Like many are going to do on X. That's just not me.
No, this is a better way of going around it. What you're doing in Myanmar makes total sense.
So, going further, I said that it's a Hong Kong owned company, which it's a private company. So I don't have the actual owners of it. Just says Hong Kong owned. That's all it says. So for people that don't know, Hong Kong just said, hold on, I shared.
How the hell do I get to her profile? I haven't used in LinkedIn in so long.
You know what? I don't even know how I got there. It was just a bunch of searching and stuff. So I shared a Twitter post from James Rule XRP. Don't know who that is. Don't care.
Oh yeah, James Rule XRP is fantastic. He's actually a really good dude.
So once again, I don't know how to pronounce this stuff, but he said something about tokenization, and this was Hong Kong's HSBC talks about tokenizing RWAs, including gold.
Did you send that to me?
Yes, I did. Here, I can resend it
because I can bring it up. I couldn't find her damn thing, but
I'll send it directly to you.
No, I was looking for her. I was looking for her post, but it's okay.
Oh, I know. I sent it from the mod group over to you.
Okay. Yes, this is Twitter James Rule. James Rule is actually, if it's the same guy I think it is, yeah, he's very, very good. Very legit.
Okay, so bring that up. Just it's a short video. Just bring it up. I know it might be over some people's heads if you're not up to date, and I really want to go into
this is not a short video. This is like a 7-minute video.
Oh shit, sorry. We don't have to listen to it all, but basically he just talks about tokenization and backing the money by gold. For people that don't know, Hong Kong is in BRICS. This it says video replay is from Global Investors Symposium, Tuesday, March 26, 2024. So that was literally today.
Yes.
But
sorry, you keep going. I'm scrolling to make sure he doesn't have other ones, because I could find the short clip if they have it, but keep going.
Yeah,
I'll go back to that
sure,
page.
But like, basically, this is the Swift system versus, and this is what I want to be clear on. And I'm in a weird mood today, and I get like this where I'm
Fire
like,
away.
I know, but I get like this when it's a hard thing to communicate because there's how do I
Just
word
do your
this?
best. I know what you're saying.
No,
Do your
I
best.
know it's hard to communicate because the things that I'm going to say, in especially in the conservative movement, aren't welcome because of closed-mindedness.
Yeah.
So the next tweet that I sent you is from what is it? Gold Telegraph on X. So this
Oh, yeah.
explains exactly what this is.
Oh, yeah. I saw this one this morning, actually. Hold on. Sorry. I have freaking screens. You know how it is when we get crazy like this. I have screens all over the place. So Gold Telegraph.
So bring this one up because this is the most important. Like, because you guys want a non type of stuff, I don't care, but it says the Western financial system has become weaponized. It is not a secret. Now Swift, our old system that we're trying to get out of, says it will launch a central bank digital currency platform at the same time. What is that one? BIS?
Bank of International Settlements.
Yeah. Okay. China, Thailand, Hong Kong, and the UAE are leading the work on Project M Bridge. Game on. So what is Project M Bridge? M Bridge is literally the new financial system, which is likely going to use the ISO coins, including XRP, to bridge multi-international payments.
Correct.
In fractions of the second. So interesting that it says bridge. I'll go into a little bit more anon stuff. It has been 47 years since this bridge was completed and opened in Baltimore, Maryland, and Trump is said to going to be the 47th president. Just there's just things like this where I'm like, this might be a way to usher in the CBDC. And this is why I said this is what conservatives are going to get backlash against. Conservatives aren't understanding what BRICS is and the potential it has to help us get out of the SWIFT system.
Okay, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming from Ledger Insights, which is blockchain for business. This is October 9th, 2023, M-Bridge to launch cross-border CBDC payments by mid-2024. At the bottom, under, and I don't know all these terms, I'd have to go study them. Okay, he acknowledged some interesting use cases, deposits, tokenized assets. One of the participants, Standard Chartered, began researching potential programmable features of a CBDC. Fubon Bank has also unveiled plans for a real estate tokenization pilot with Ripple, the blockchain and crypto firm associated with XRP Ledger. There you go.
Yes. But I want to make clear right now, because I don't think that people have in their minds.
We get to pivot while everyone's stuck on the bridge, Nicolette.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I look at that and I'm like, not as big as, like, there's so much other stuff, even with the P. Diddy stuff coming out, Sean Diddy Combs, the Diddler, as it was on Twitter trending. It's just that it's trending and it's distracting.
It's distracting from them. They are putting in a brand new financial system.
Right. But we know that and we want that. And
Correct.
People,
we have to have that. There's no way around it.
We said something the other day and I saw a comment and we never got to the conversation about it, where people were like, I saw a comment saying, why would we want CBDC? We want our money to be backed by something. We want a system where it has actual utilities and tokenization of our actual minerals and things that are actually viable. We can't just keep printing dollars into oblivion. We need to get to CBDC at some point. And I understand that a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to live in a cashless society. I don't want them to control our money. We have to get here at some point, and then that's when we basically rally against it and say, hey, we're not going to follow the social credit system. But there is that bridge, as you would say, where we have to have that connection. We have to flip over to the gold back system at
So,
some point.
ready? I just thought
Yeah.
of this. So I'm rewriting the headline for today to put this in there.
Mm-hmm.
Nicolette, what is XRP?
Well, it's a payment transfer system.
But
basically.
what is it? What does it do? Sorry, there's a key word. There's a key word. You ready?
Go ahead.
It's a bridge currency.
Right.
It's a bridge currency.
Hasn't anybody ever...
Meaning a bridge just collapsed.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody says CBDC is backed by nothing. It's digital. It's trackable. Mark of the
They
beast.
don't. They have. That's.
That is absolutely
not true at all.
the most ignorant statement, and I'll call you out for this because you people...
She's in a mood, everybody. I told you.
Right. And this is why I said I get in a weird mood. I'm literally shaky today just because so many people are like so in the dark about this and follow like, well, your money's already cashless. The piece of paper that you go to pay with does not mean a damn thing at all. It doesn't represent anything other than digital zeros on a screen. That's what it represents. You're not out of a digital system just because you use a piece of paper. You're not. And people don't see this. When you buy a house, are you buying it with literal cash? Absolutely not. And even if you do give cash to a business, what happens? They deposit it and it becomes a digital number on the screen. Correct. You are in a digital system already, a controlled digital system, not backed by anything. And if you pay attention to what BRICS is doing and those tweets that we just had up there, is the fact that they are backing it by gold. They are doing tokenizations. They literally just said that. And Hong Kong is going into
all
Bitcoin. They're literally putting all their stuff into Bitcoin right now.
All of your commodities, everybody. We talked about this in 2020, Nicolette. Like in 2021, your gold, silver, platinum, copper, oil, lumber, steel, niobium, every cotton, corn, every single commodity that is used for production in America, which all but will be nationalized, will be tokenized, everybody. Because guess what? Yeah. At the end of the day, you can't constantly just ship gold back and forth. You can't ship heavy products.
Sorry, guys.
It's all in a digital ledger. Don't worry. Just be you,
I get
Nicolette.
so frustrated with this because conservatives have this archaic understanding of money in that you cannot have it both ways where I want a gold back system. I want away from the the central banking system, yet I don't want to be a part of this system. It does not work that way. In order for the world to go around, and then not only that, I'm not trying to carry around some gold shillings in my fucking pocket every fucking day. Like,
no.
Do you guys? This whole bartering, like I said, going back to archaic times. Are you going to have somebody in every city or
Texas Country Girl's new to you, Nicolette? Texas Country Girl, Nicolette is a really good person, but she knows her shit. And this is what she's saying is conservatives are not understanding that we have to move forward. And moving forward, sure, you can carry change around. It'll still be there in a couple of years. It'll still continue.
You're still going to have cash dollars.
But the infrastructure has to go to a new, innovative, tokenized, central, decentralized currency, if that makes sense. Like, there's no way around this.
So
we're not going back to trading eggs with each other, everybody.
Correct. I'm not going to have each state is not going to have its own blacksmith minting coins out of whatever gold is owned in that state. It's not going to be that way. And people need to understand this. But if I could leave any kind of message today, it is stop being distracted. I understand. Yes, I watched the Nickelodeon documentary Quiet on Set. I read the Sean Combs entire lawsuit months ago. I did all of this. However, you know what I'm also reading? I'm constantly reading news from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
People are too distracted and too red versus blue. The fact that people are like, "Oh, where's Pete Buttigieg?" Like, who gives a fuck? We know that he's not doing his job.
I did care this morning because I was curious on why they haven't trotted him and Biden out yet. Biden just got trotted out.
Right, but I'm saying the putting the blame on the government. So this is one thing that I like. I'd always take a step back on this because many people will look at it. Oh, was this China that did this attack? Was this so and so? Whether it's our communication systems going down or whatever. My first thing at home is to think, okay, well, many people think that China's the enemy. My own government is enemy number one to me. And I know that that sounds bad, but it is. So I don't jump to other countries first and think that it's them. I automatically think that it's the US trying to blame another country. And so that's why I will go into any other kind of news, whether it's Russian news, Israel Times, any of that.
RT.com, RT News, Russia Today is far more trustworthy than any American news site you'll find in mainstream media.
Right. So it's definitely like if you're paying attention to all of the other countries that want and have joined BRICS and what they're doing with the monetary system, you would not fear these systems. You would not. You would think, like, I don't know how anybody can sit here.
We invested in the systems, everybody. We did. Like, all of us who know what's going on. Like, this is the other thing that kills me about America.
If you bought any kind of gold and silver, this is what cracks me up. Conservatives are touting buy gold, buy silver, even if they get a certificate, which I don't recommend. Almost every commentator is saying these things. When they're saying buy gold and silver, you're buying into the BRICS system. You guys do realize that. They are going gold backed. They've said it multiple times. Like, you understand that you're already buying into that system. So the fact that people are also saying, oh, but I don't like CBDC. Well, why'd you buy gold then? If you don't think that any of this is going to happen, why'd you buy gold? It's such a stressful thing for me to try to reiterate to people and reflect because, like I said, I automatically look to our government first. Nothing is as it appears. I saw that you posted something. I don't know if it was on Facebook or Twitter that somebody, or X, whatever, you said something about military being activated and somebody's like, this isn't true. It 100% is true.
That was something from the military. And I'm like, but wait, I have like three different people who've told me the same thing. And it wasn't like, this is a normal thing. This was like legit, like, wait a second, this is not normal.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave comments alone today.
Just ignore the comments.
I know. I am gonna.
Don't look at. You need to turn Rumble off while you're on the show. That's your new goal is turn Rumble off. We're gonna hide it. I have learned to just not look at it at all times. You need to turn it off because it gets you all. Just keep on your intuitive feed right now.
Right now. So my end of the. I've said this for months now, and you can ask Dr. Dean because he's even asked me. He goes, I just don't understand how that works. What does that look like? And I said, it's going to be BRICS versus NATO.
Which is what it's turning out to be.
I've been saying this. So BRICS has cut off Israel. They literally, BRICS is like, Turkey is not going to export to Israel anymore, which they're one of the highest exporters and stuff. Like many of the BRICS nations aren't supporting Israel. They're not. And when I say that, this is another thing. Many Christians want to support Israel because they think that it's the land of God. However, it's not. The land
It's
of
not.
God wasn't an actual place. It
Not.
was
Israel is, sorry, everybody, I'll tell you for Israel, the Israel you think of in the Middle East, Israel is not the Holy Land.
I don't think that I don't necessarily think that Israel or like the Holy Land is an actual land. I think that that was more of it was passed on to the bloodline. Like that's what it is the bloodline. And we know that the Ashkenazi Jews and the Khazarian mafia and whatever have taken over all of these places, aka Ukraine and Israel. So when I say that BRICS has cut off Israel, it's not, oh, they're, we have to defend them, we have to defend the Jewish people and the Christians. And no, uh, you're defending the Mossad. When you say that, you were defending the Mossad. And I don't think that people understand that. Like, that's why there's so many people that are pro-Palestinian in this aspect, which I've never come out as either, because I see both sides as being wrong in every aspect. Because one, I know that me saying, free Palestine is not promoting Hamas. Whereas you have the alt-right saying, well, if you support Palestine and you don't think Israel should defend itself, then you're supporting terrorists. And I'm sitting here, we funded the terrorists to do this against the Mossad.
Correct.
And it's a very long line, and it always has been. The US funds both sides of wars because wars create money.
Correct.
People get rich off of wars, which is why wars will never end. What was it? Eisenhower?
No. People don't get rich off of it, Nicolette. The people
Correct.
at the top.
The elite do.
The elite,
central
the
banks
cabals,
do.
corporations, they get rich off of it, not us.
So at the end of the day, no, it is not Masons. No, it is not just
It's
Mossad.
not Masons, and the Masons aren't evil, everybody. There are
Right.
some bad ones, but they're not all evil. That's such dumb. Don't get me started.
It is not like any of these things that are such distractions. And I know that we talk about them here and there on the show, but everybody really needs to take this step back and look at the bigger picture of everything. And I've been saying for weeks, did I not say exactly what Chris basically said before he got off, that they were going to use the eclipse to bring down some kind of communications?
Yes, they are. Nicolette, you and I and the mods, and I think maybe on After Dark or recently, because we were all talking about it, we all said, because I was like, wait a second, like, I know the eclipse is a thing, but is anyone noticing, and we're all talking about this, like, this thing is getting out of control on the internet. Like we've known about the eclipse forever. Why is the news, why are they amping this up like the world is going to melt down in one day? You know what I mean? Why is this this seems weird.
Yeah. Can I get us canceled completely?
Who are you going to cancel us? Who's going to cancel us?
I don't. Everybody.
Fire
with
away.
this
I don't
statement.
care anymore. I don't care. This is fun. This is the fun stuff. I like this stuff.
The mark of the beast is not a system. It is not a person. The mark of the beast, specifically, to me, is the mindset in which you feel that you don't hold power. And anybody who follows a church and follows that mindset, and that there is greater powers outside of them, you fall for the mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast is not believing in yourself, kind of.
Correct. Because you were all, even if, going back to my Catholic roots, you were all instilled with the Holy Spirit, saved by the Son of God, to do greater than him on this earth. And when you go to a church, they are teaching you that you have to give everything to a higher power, and you are basically helpless. That is the mark of the beast, steering you away from your abilities. I don't know about any of that. I was looking at it, but
No, no,
it's
no, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm posting this right
Yeah.
now or showing this because of what you just said. And what does it say at the top? You are made
You
of
are
magic.
made of magic.
And then below it just happens to be a queen of hearts.
Yeah.
And this is Ivanka's reels. And then it says, abracadabra, I will create as I speak. Because as Dorothy was told, you can go home anytime you want. You've had the power the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like once you figure that out and you find a purpose of, and I'm very much, I know that a lot of people think that I get off purpose. I don't feel like my entire purpose is to share vaccine stuff. And the reason why that doesn't resonate with me as much as it once did is because that purpose is teaching people about their meat suits. Literally, your body here. It's not about your body here. None of it has ever been about your body here. The mark of the beast and everything is literally enslaving you in your body here to think that you don't have the abilities to be beyond that. That's what it is. And I know that people are like, oh well, revelations, we're supposed to know the mark of the beast by name and all this other stuff, like, and I'm this is so blasphemous to my upbringing in Catholic Church.
Why stop now?
I know, I'm not going to stop. Ash Wednesday for me this year, and this reflection of like my newfound way of looking at the religion, because don't get me wrong, I still love the parables and the moral stories taught in the Bible. However, you're all doing it wrong, and I can't stand it, and it drives me nuts. And I say that in the most loving way. But like I too once partook in the getting ashes on Ash Wednesday. You would never do that if you followed the actual Bible. If you followed the actual Bible, you wouldn't get ashes on your forehead, because you are not supposed to be gloating about your love of Christ and that type of thing. It's actually in the Bible that you're not supposed to brand yourself in that way. Like, so like that's a really hard thing for me, because you know, everybody's like, oh, CBDC is mark of the beast. The shot is the mark of the beast. Y'all just branded your foreheads and said that you are following. And I know that people are like, I don't recognize that as the Pope. Guess what? If you are going to a place, getting ashes on your forehead, you are following the Catholic Church, and maybe some other places do it. I'm not familiar. I think Lutheran does it. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But you are under the Pope. Anything that's being taught in these churches is under the archdiocese, which follows the Pope. So you can't sit there once again and be hypocritical and say, no, this Pope is evil. He wants people to take the COVID vax, and then still go to church and say that I'm a great fucking person. Because you attending that church and donating to that thing donates to the archdiocese and donates to the Pope. You're part of the problem. The hypocrisy in religions drives me up a wall, and I didn't even want to get into religions. It's such a matrix box that I need people to start thinking beyond. I like, it drives me crazy to have these conversations, even about the monetary system, you know, and a lot of people are like, oh, what happened to, there's radicals on both sides. There's people that want state and religion to be completely separate, which I personally believe should be. And then there's people like in Texas that want 10 commandments in every single room. I don't fall under that.
I love, because Lizzie says we are not worthless sinners. Every time I've ever heard someone talk about, and it comes in many different ways. It's we're just sinners, or we're not worthy, we're not this. Like there's so many. one that's never resonated with me ever at all. And
Right.
quite honestly, anybody out there who's like, oh, we're not worthy. The idea that you would ever say that to yourself, right? Like is that doesn't mean we don't believe there's a higher power, but
Yeah.
that's just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard is the fact that, well, are we sinners? Yeah, we all make mistakes. I mean, depending, go back to the origin of the word sin, first of all, because it's probably not what you think it is. But second of all, we all make mistakes, and our goal is to do better every day. And if you make a mistake, tell the other person you're sorry, or make amends, or whatever is right for you, and make yourself a better person every day. But this idea, like when you think about how we've grown up, this whole and how many people out there have worth, why are, Nicolette, the trans having such a problem? Why are the gay having such a problem? Why do they feel less than? Why do they feel like they have to shout from a rooftop who they are and make it uncomfortable for people? Why? Because this world has made it so that they're not okay to say, do I agree with trans lifestyles? No, I do not. However, they're still people. I'm not going to hate them, and no one should, and no one has any right to hate them, or no one should do any violence upon anybody, much less a trans person, right? But the problem is they've never been allowed to say what's going on in their mind, because the world looks down upon everybody right now, because religion has taught that. Religion has taught you to judge other people, when in reality, why doesn't someone sit down, and I kind of have. Why doesn't someone sit down with a person who's trans and be like, no, I'm not talking about the crazy ones. The crazy ones are set up, they're on purpose to create problems. Why isn't a
understand where their body dysmorphia and stuff comes from?
Why doesn't a person trained to help them sit down and talk to them and understand why they're going through that? And then once you handle some of that neurological and spiritual and mental stuff, maybe they still stay trans, but maybe they're far better about it. Maybe it changes their life in a certain way. But this whole not worthy of stuff is such overt bullshit, and it's been so programmed into everyone's minds. Everyone is dealing with this. No matter how successfully, I know billionaires who still battle the voices in their head because they've been taught a certain thing, and it has nothing to do with money. But you're right. This has all been perpetrated on people, and guess what? Religion as not a faith. Religion itself will most likely crumble. Faiths will not crumble, because people have legitimate faith. They believe in a certain way of going about stuff. They might believe in something you don't want to even look at. They believe in that. That's not going to fall, because that's close to their hearts, right? But the religion piece of propping shit up with money and this whole worthless thing, and the Pope and the Vatican, that's going to fall.
Yeah. And Rose is absolutely correct. Everyone makes mistakes. If you don't, not learning, no one is perfect. And I've never claimed to be perfect. And I want to say this, that my mistakes are why I'm here. That is my entire purpose of coming on here, is to try to help people for the mistakes that I've made, whether it's in religion or giving my son vaccinations and being vaccinated myself, and not being, the people will perish for lack of knowledge that is in the Bible is so true, because when you're being led and not, it really is about the power within yourself. And that is when you, and I know that this is another thing that is smeared, because I see it on X all the time. Some people don't like the new age thinking of God is within you. When you look and reflect on that, God made me. I am literally a bloodline of Jesus Christ, because there's no other way around it. If you started from Adam and Eve, you were created by God. He instilled the Holy Spirit, or whatever, if you believe in the Holy Spirit. I know that the Holy Trinity was a made up thing from Catholicism and stuff, but if you believe in that, and that he put life into you, and you look at it as your part God, you have a whole new found look on life. And this is why I get so aggravated with people that come in and You have to accept Jesus as your savior. Nobody saves me but myself. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. When you are praying for God and for Jesus to help you, you are manifesting the power within yourself to do these things. I've always said, when you pray to God for patience, He doesn't magically gift you patience. He gives you a scenario in your life that you recognize the ability to be patient in that moment. It's about you. It's you have the power within you. Just like we said with Wizard of Oz. She's always had the power to go home. She didn't need that great and powerful Oz. She didn't need God. She's always had the ability within herself. But people are just, she was led down a path that was literally, that to me is the mark of the beast. Telling people that they're not who they can be is the mark of the beast.
I'm going to end it on that because I think that's a great ending. And as as Carrie says, I go to church for the wafers and juice. Oh my God.
I don't. Yeah, that's a. I always thought that was weird.
So, everybody, don't get overly distracted. Yes, we can watch to see what happened, how this got played out, etc., everything else. But look at what's really happening. Go deeper on this current scene. Go follow the economic people, the financial people. That's who you really need to follow because the money people are the ones that are going to change this over. And then everybody have a great Tuesday. I'm going to leave it as that.
We're going to go back to vaccines.
Yeah, we'll be back to vaccines probably by tomorrow afternoon or Thursday at the latest. Obviously, this took over everything today because of craziness. But love, help, and serve. How about that?
Yep.
For Nicolette, Dr. Dean, have a great Tuesday, everybody. Enjoy. Don't get too crazy out there. Stay calm. Bye-bye.